Welcome to the Grief Pod with Venetia Quick. This is a weekly podcast which looks at every aspect of something which has or will at some point affect us all. And that is grief. Whether you've lost a loved one or about to lose someone you know, or perhaps you're simply trying to help someone navigate their grief and don't know where to start or what to say, then perhaps this is the podcast for you. Each week I'll be bringing you different stories and experiences of loss, love, hope and at times humour. The Forget Me Nots Choir is a community-based choir which is especially welcoming to those who have been or are affected by dementia and memory loss. And Orla Orna is the founder and chair of the choir, and Gerry O'Halloran is an active member of the choir as well, and he originally wrote the song Snowflakes, which we will talk about in a little bit. And I'm delighted to say they're joining me on the Grief Pod this week. You're both very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Orla, could we start maybe talking to you about how the choir came about?
Sure. Well, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's when she was 86. And it came as a shock to all of us because, you know, we knew Mam was kind of getting a little bit more confused, but it happened so quickly once it happened that we realised that, you know, we really had to bring her into hospital and get her assessed. And it turned out that she did have Alzheimer's. And we thought, you know, there was just one hospital appointment after another, and it just seemed so depressing, kind of what her life looked like, you know, the projected future for her after such a wonderful life. And the next thing I just heard on the radio, there was a choir from New York called the Unforgettables Chorus, and it had been founded by a doctor in New York City for people with dementia and their carers. And I thought, God, that'd be a wonderful thing, you know, where you could go somewhere with your loved one and where you could be as much a part of the choir as your loved one. So it wasn't a question of bringing her somewhere and dropping her off and then picking her up, but actually doing something with her that was uplifting for her and fulfilling for you, and that you could all have something to share, and then you would have the memory of it when you left, and then you would look forward to the next instalment, you know.
Yeah, and it's something sort of that happens every week. It's
Absolutely.
a set date. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's progressive because you learn something and then you build on what you've learned, you know. So I went about trying to see if such a thing existed. And it didn't, like there were kind of social clubs and there were so-called choirs, but they weren't really choirs, they were more sing-songs. And I really wanted it to be a choir because I'm in a choir and a lot of my family members are in choirs. And the beauty of a choir is that you have different voices coming together and working with each other to make a sound that complements one another. And your ability is, it can be whatever. It's up to the musical director to be able to make the choir work for the members that they've got. But it had to be a choir. So with that in mind, set up a choir, got an initial funding from Fingal Arts Office, which was fantastic. Got us off the ground, and we ended up finding Nora Walsh, who's our musical director, who is just a gifted musical director, you know, that works with lots of different musical groups, and she writes music, she's a composer. And what she was able to do was bring us together, create harmonies that she wrote for us, but start us off with songs that were familiar to people so that people who had a memory loss condition would remember the song and they could sing what they knew and feel really happy about that. And then the carers could sing harmonies, they could learn harmonies. And also people, you know, just older people who came from the community that didn't have a memory loss condition but wanted to sing and wanted to belong into a community choir, they were able to also come with some kind of harmony ability or not. And then depending on what people wanted to do, the choir offered them a way of doing it that was accessible to everybody. So it's kind of as difficult or as easy as you wanted it to be.
Yeah, but it was something that was there and was an outlet.
Absolutely.
Or is an outlet.
Absolutely.
And your mum, Kathleen, like she was quite a larger than life person.
She was just the most positive person you could ever meet on the planet. You know, Mam thought she'd win the lotto every week, you know, that way. But it was never so she could win it for herself. It was so she could win it so she could give it away, you know.
Yeah.
She was just that kind of person. And she was always so upbeat, and she was always singing and humming around the house, you know. And we just thought, God, you know, to do something musical that's artistic as well, and that's social, because it's the inclusion of people coming together that makes it so special. We thought that that would be something that, you know, would be it would be uplifting and fun, and at the same time it would have more than just the moment of being in the choir. It would just have that feeling that washes over you when you sing. And I'm in a ladies' choir, and sometimes it's a mixed choir, sometimes we add the gents' choir with us. But even when you go home after rehearsal, it's washing over you for hours and hours, you know. So, and that's what happened, you know.
Yeah. And did she get time?
She did. We had 3 years with her in the choir, which was wonderful. And honestly, when Mammy died, the fear in the choir was that, you know, me and my two sisters, because it was both Fiona and Karen as well, that helped set the whole thing up, and then all our amazing volunteers who helped make it work. We've got 13 volunteers, and you know, without them, it wouldn't work. And with all of that support, it meant that we could just keep going forward. Like, it was something that had become so important in all of our lives, and all of the wonderful people that joined the choir. And it keeps on changing, you know, the membership keeps on adding new people, and because of the demographic.
Yeah, and I suppose it meant for you a lot more people then knew your mum that perhaps wouldn't have. So you had that support afterwards.
You know, it was incredible, because you know the way old people connect with each other. They have so much in common, and some of them would have some link with each other that they didn't even know until they got chatting, and then they realised that they had friends in common, or they'd gone to the same school or something like that. And it began to be like a village get-together. And what was really interesting was that a lot of men chose to join the choir. And choirs search for men. There's always loads of women. You never have enough men. But in the Forget-Me-Nots, we ended up having a great contingent of men. And the men also made such a magical difference to the choir. The male voice, even if they're not singing a harmony, is just so beautiful for women to sing against. And then when you add in the harmonies as well, and when you add in kind of different dimensions, the dynamics, you know, you go loud, you go soft, you go fast, you go slow, whatever Nora introduces to it, all of it just comes together, and it just is much bigger than the sum of its parts. So it's so rewarding that, you know, it's never going to stop.
Uplifting.
Totally.
Imagine. Gerry, you're a big part of the choir.
Well, I'm a big part, really.
You are, Gerry. You're a big part.
I hear you were singing in the taxi on the way over. You lost your wife, Mary, just actually before COVID hit in 2000. And she had been diagnosed with dementia 10 years previously. What was that 10 years like for you?
Well, she wasn't bad at all. Her dementia was very slight. She recognised everybody that came into her in the nursing home. And you know, it was a shock to me when I think she got a dose of pneumonia, and she was in hospital, in the Mater Hospital, and they told me, and it was a big shock to me at the time, that you can't look after her yourself anymore.
Wow.
It was as blunt as that.
And that was quite close to the end, was it? Or was that...
It was, because she was only... So we got her into St. Gabriel's nursing home, which is a beautiful place. I couldn't have been more happy about the circumstances there and everything there. Lovely people who loved her genuinely.
But it must have been hard for you.
Well, I went there every day. Every day that she was there, I was there.
Wow.
And she was there just over a year when she passed away.
And when she passed away in the February of 2020, that was, of course, just before COVID hit and lockdown, and people couldn't go and visit their loved ones.
Well, thanks be to God, she wasn't there. No, it was 21, I think. No, 21 she died.
And was that... Are you glad you had that? You were, in one way, that you were sort of spared the heartbreak of not being...
Oh, absolutely. If she had been there during COVID, It would have been dreadful. Or if she had died during, I don't dare to think of it.
Yeah.
What would have happened, you know?
Yeah, no, it's very difficult, isn't it, Orla, as well? Like the dementia as, I suppose, a lot of people would describe it as a living grief, because for both the person and their immediate family and the people close to them, it's sort of everything is happening right in front of you.
Yeah, it's actually, it's heartbreaking because, you know, you're losing a piece of the person, and at different speeds. You know, every situation is different. Every family's experience is different. But what we find with the choir is that there's enough kind of soft support. It's unspoken support that each other gives to each other, unless they look for more. You know, so it's very subtle, and it means that people can join the choir and people understand what they're going through without them having to actually talk about it. And then, you know, they just reach out to each other and help each other because they know the loved one has reached a certain point. They can see the way it progresses and they've been there, you know, because what happens is with our membership, you're a member forever. And it's only when you can't or don't want to come that your membership finishes.
And there is something, just what you were saying there about other people totally understanding, because it's the same with, I think, all sorts of grief. Like if you've lost a child, you get probably the most solace from somebody and support from somebody else who's been through exactly the same situation.
Absolutely.
So there is that, it's that unique sort of
it's the
support
unspoken
system.
understanding, you know, and the empathy, because people just know by you whether you're really struggling or whether, you know, now is a particularly okay time for you or whatever. But they kind of know intuitively how to step in and offer support in a way that you're able to accept it. You know, and it kind of gives...
And you don't have to explain.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is half the... Because for a lot of people, it's the constant sort of explaining or retelling of the story,
or feeling embarrassed, or, you know, and particularly when your loved one might behave in a way that you wish they wouldn't for them, not for you, for them, and you feel upset about that for them. That's where you're in a completely safe environment because everyone's there, you know, and so there's none of that feeling. So the stress factor for the carers comes way down, and they park their troubles at the door. They come in, we all sing together, and we are a mix of people from the community. We're a mix of volunteers. We're a mix of people who have the condition. We're a mix of people who are carers, and even the carers themselves are a mix. They could be the spouse, they could be the child, they could be a neighbour, they could even be a professional carer who brings them and loves to sing. But we have all of that, you know, and the wonder of it all is that the sprinkling of all of that makes it be what it is. You know, there's something there for everybody.
And I think as well, you were just saying as well about sort of when, I suppose, somebody suffering from dementia acts a certain way and then sort of the people don't understand. And there isn't that sort of, you know, understanding, a whole understanding perhaps as yet of how people present when they have dementia, so that adds a bit of stigma, perhaps, to it. Do you feel there's still that stigma?
Well, I think the stigma is more that people feel awkward. You know, people feel that they want to pretend that they didn't see something because they don't want to embarrass typically the carer, because it's the carer who's trying to protect their loved one. And when the loved one is vulnerable and something happens, they feel, oh my God, have I exposed my beautiful mother or my beautiful dad in a way that, you know, he'd be embarrassed about if he knew, you know, and he doesn't fully understand. But you just don't want to put your loved one in a situation like that. But when you're in the choir and you're with each other and you've all been there, you all recognise that, you know, this just is part of the condition and it's part of what happens, and you feel comfortable with each other and you don't feel that you have to protect them in that way. You know, they're just who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gerry as well, I suppose from both of you, when dementia was first mentioned to both of you with your mum and Gerry with your wife Mary, Did you know, were there signs that you thought there was dementia there? Did you?
There were little things in the home, certainly.
Yeah, what sort of little things?
And, well, sometimes she'd say she didn't know who I was,
Okay.
And that was a bit of a shock
Yeah.
to the system.
Yeah.
But I actually got around it all right.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I'm your husband and things like that. But,
Yeah. Because you often wonder as well, I suppose, with how you bring that up with somebody, because it is sort of a very, obviously, I mean, I forget things all the time,
Yeah.
day to day,
Yeah.
and it's sort of, but I suppose for an older person, and you sort of maybe are starting to see changes.
Yeah.
How do you broach that, or what are the signs that you should
Yeah, like
be looking into it further?
for our family, like we just thought Mam was becoming forgetful, and then we thought that Mam was kind of probably in what you used to call her dotage,
Yeah.
Yes.
that, totally lovable, totally happy, but, forgetting lots of things, and lots of repetition. And then it became a lot more repetition, like every 5 minutes she'd ask you the same questions over and over and
Okay.
over. And so with advice, we were told, pretend it's the first time she asked you. Don't say, Ma'am, I just told you that 5 minutes ago. Don't upset her, because that would stress her out. Once she realised, if you said something to her, like if she called you the wrong daughter, and if you got
But that's
agitated.
even usual. I mean, I
know.
get all my kids' names wrong. Sometimes call them the cat's name. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's
I
normal
know.
to.
And so, like, if you just handle it in that way,
Yeah.
where it's completely normal, then everything's fine, But if you act hurt and damaged, and sometimes it is so hurtful and damaging
Yeah.
for the person that you actually have to, put on almost a veil to not show your feelings, because that's what stresses them out, So if they don't realise that they're kind of, making mistakes, it's much kinder.
Yeah.
And you kind of get used to working around it like
Yeah.
that.
And then from, I suppose, the legalities point of view, like, if you're concerned, can you approach a doctor as, say, a offspring of the person, or a relative, or a spouse?
It's a tough process.
Yeah.
Jerry, have you been through that process?
Not really.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
no.
we
no.
went through it with Mam, but we were lucky that Mam had already chosen to have the living will, where
Okay.
the power of attorney was already
Yeah.
in place. So it just had to be activated.
They had done that. and so
Yeah.
on.
But to get it activated, you had to go to a doctor who was willing to give you an assessment. And some of the doctors wouldn't touch it. They said that their insurance wouldn't cover it.
Yeah.
But we did get the
Because
assessment
you
in
often
Beaumont.
wonder the best approach,
Yeah.
of how to. I mean, Jerry, with Mary, was it? I mean, because you've 5 kids, is that right? You've quite a few kids.
3.
3 kids.
3.
Oh, I'm adding 2 more to this.
Yeah.
But
He might have 2 more than nobody
you
knows about.
never know. But
I can guarantee you.
did you consult with your kids first? Like, did your kids come to you and say, "We think"?
Well, this was the odd remark, but we never really had a consultation about the whole process, because when she was told, when she got the pneumonia and was in the mater, and then they said she must go to a nursing home because you can't look after her and yourself. I mean, we were living on our own, with the both of us, just the both of us, for many years. Because all my kids ran away from me as soon as they all got married as young as I did myself.
The cheek of them.
Yeah, but we were married for 67 years when Mary died. And,
Wow. That's a very, very long time.
we had a great life together.
Yeah.
And her later years were very good and very happy until, as I said, she got that pneumonia, and that triggered the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, I looked after her on her own for many years, but she was quite manageable, no problems with her, and I kept her playing golf as long as she possibly could.
Did she have a choice?
I got abused over that, but I kept her going.
When you're married, Gerry, for 67 years and then you lose somebody,
Yeah.
you know, and especially when it's sort of a prolonged, you know, loss, I guess. How do you keep going?
Well, number one, like I have to say, we were prepared. We knew that she was going to die, that she wouldn't outlast this pneumonia. And that's what got her in the end. And so I was really quite prepared for it. And I said it's just part of life. And I got on with living myself, kept playing my golf. And then, now she had been saying to me, you should join that choir, you know. She used to say that to me.
Yeah.
She knew about it. I don't know where she knew about it, but she used to say it to me. So 5 or 6 weeks after Mary died, I went out.
Yeah.
Now, I had met Nora because Nora used to come up and play for the people who were in St. Gabriel's nursing home. So I'd met Nora there, so I had an in already. And I had sung for them myself.
Yeah.
And so when I come out, I got a good welcome.
Yeah. And did you found great support then?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've made one very good friend there, which is great, because you lose all your friends when you get to a certain age. They're all gone. And so I've made one very, very good friend now. And he lives in Bettystown. And
Very good. Know Bettystown well.
you probably know him. Everybody in Bettystown knows Eddie Peppard.
Oh, well, I don't know if I know him, but I know Bettystown very well.
Right, yeah.
My mother-in-law, we have that connection. We figured that out
Yes.
before we came in. My mother-in-law lived in Bettystown,
Okay.
just beside the golf course.
So,
So-
and he lives quite near my daughter. So when I'm up there for the weekend, I go around every Sunday and we have a long chat.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah. And it's very nice.
Yeah.
I
And
mean-
so through the choir, this has given you a whole new lease of life.
And the choir is a whole new opening
Yeah.
and interest. And that's what pushes me along. Looking forward to going to the choir every Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
And our concerts then as well.
Yeah.
And there's always something happening there and something of interest. And this great interest of all is this shared island interest we have now, where we're joined with a choir from Larne in County
Okay.
Antrim.
Wow. So the support system is even bigger.
And exactly, yeah. And we've been up to them, and they've been down to us. And we have a concert coming up very shortly together in Croke Park.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, expanding.
Yeah.
For you were also, like, obviously Mary's caregiver, and despite her being in the nursing home, how did you look after yourself and your, I suppose, mental health during that time?
Well, I retired before Mary retired. So I had about 3 years to myself to start looking after the house and doing a little bit of cooking, but not much. It's very basic, I can tell you. And ready-made meals come in handy. but I think I was fairly well adjusted by the time she actually died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was almost like, in one way, you were, getting yourself in the right space.
I suppose.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Orla, what have you found since during your mum's illness and since, I suppose, her passing, the more difficult times, especially in relation to dementia? What?
Yeah, I think it was Mam's confusion. When she would become agitated, she would say, I am compos mentis, amn't I? And we'd say, yes, you are, Mam, but you had to convince her that she was okay, because she actually did know, there was a part of her that knew that she was not, clear-headed. And that upset her. And then she would get, kind of over even trying to put her clothes on. She would resist even putting her clothes on sometimes. You know, she would just get agitated, and she stopped eating. She started hiding her food, and we would the weight was falling off her, and we couldn't understand it. But it was actually found like under cushions and things like that.
And is that part and parcel, or
it's
is
a
that
part of it? Yeah, and that can be a part of other geriatric conditions. It's not just dementia that can happen with. But it's something that's so hard to manage because you can't force somebody to eat. You know, you have to persuade them. So you need somebody, you know, with the patience and the time that they can kind of supervise the fact that something is getting eaten. And, you know, so we were very lucky. We had carers, rotating carers who lived with her. We had 3 girls who were there for like a couple of days at a time.
And she taught them Irish,
and
didn't
she
she?
did.
Yeah.
And they were from Botswana, you know.
Yeah.
But they were absolutely wonderful. You know, they were full of love, full of joy, full of life. And they loved Mammy, you know. And once she, like, it was a big adjustment for her to have anyone living in the house with her because she'd been on her own for a long time. But once she made that adjustment, then she began to care for them. You know, if we took Mammy out, she would say after a couple of hours, "Oh, I better get back. They'd be worried about me." You know.
But that in one way kept her going
Wonderful,
as well.
yeah.
But I suppose for both of you, for outside people looking in who are listening to this, who may be wondering about someone they know and worried perhaps about whether they're handling someone they know, or not handling isn't the right word, but supporting someone they know properly. What advice would you give?
All I can say is carry on as normal.
Yeah.
And don't show that you think that there's anything serious there. And as I say, all one can do really is the best they can.
Yeah.
I looked after it as well as I can for, I suppose, about 3 years. And at times I had to wash her.
Yeah.
But then we had a certain amount of care as well. And they were very, very good people, the people that were sent. Just come for a few hours in a day. And one girl particularly, and she had a great relationship with her. And they got on very well. And so I was quite happy from that point of view. But otherwise it was just myself. And you just get on with it and you do the best you can.
Yeah. And I suppose to keep reminding yourself as well that you're doing your best, that you're...
I think it's so important that carers look after themselves because they're no use to anybody unless they look out for their own well-being. And sometimes that's so hard because they just are giving all the time. And particularly when you have, you know, 2 people who are old, you know, and they're getting older every day. And it could be that the man is the person with dementia and the woman is the person trying to care for him. And she's tiny and he's big, and just physically the amount of stress that puts on that lady, you know, when she's super senior herself, you know. And a lot of the time you can find that the spouses want to protect their loved one and their children. They don't want the children to know just how much stress they're under with their other parent, because they're kind of they want to protect the person from the vulnerability of what's happening to them. And they also want to protect the children from being aware of the extent of the progress of dementia. So they actually, they can hide quite a bit. And it's really up to the children to be more alert, you know, and to look out for their mother or their father, the caring person, and help them so that they can take help from others, so that they can be as strong as they can be.
Which is difficult to do.
It's very difficult. Yeah.
When you set up the choir, and we've talked about both sides, and we've talked about the support and the support network. What would you like the legacy, I suppose, of the choir to be?
It would be absolutely wonderful if other choirs could set up in a similar way. Now, the thing about a choir is it is unique. Like it's like a band, it's unique. So all you can have is kind of a guideline of how you go about it. And then it's the individuals that make it be what it is. So what you need are volunteers who can help to run the choir and sing harmonies in the choir. You need a really good musical director, like somebody who's musical, but who's also full of empathy. But the person has to be a professional musician. Because it's not a choir unless you've got that. So that's kind of the basic requirement, that they're really good on the musical side of things. And then if you find the person with the right personality that can make it accessible to everybody, then you've got the right MD for this type of choir. And then it really is to keep it going. Like it's hard to begin to get the membership to make it viable, but keep with it. And then just let it be what it is. Don't make it too big and too difficult. It'll advance in its own way because it's unique.
I was going to say it'll snowball, but actually what we're going to talk about is snowflakes, Gerry. Isn't that right? Because this is your song that the choir has brought out. Now, Mike Denver is singing on this version.
Yes.
But it's actually your song. There's a bit of a Robbie Williams thing here going on where you wrote the song. Why did you write it?
Snowflakes. That's just an idea that came to me one night. I should write a little song for Christmas. So that's exactly what I did. And one of them was 10, one of them was 8 at the time.
Your kids?
The two girls, Jean and Jackie. But no, they never took much interest in it themselves, believe it or not. Now, I sang it to them a couple of times, and Jean loves it now.
Yeah, because it's recorded by Mike Denver.
But so it just came about like that. I just wrote it and sang it.
And is it quite emotional for you now that it's now published with the choir?
It's quite a thrill, really. Yeah, absolutely, and an honour to have the choir singing my song, my own. I couldn't believe it the first day I heard them all sing it. I said, "My God, this is amazing!"
Yeah.
And Nora, of course, she's unbelievable. She's a fantastic composer and arranger of songs, and she did a beautiful arrangement, and exactly to the way I wanted her to do it at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the middle verse, the bridge as I call it.
Yes.
Getting the volunteers just to sing the bridge, the high notes,
Well, it's a beautiful song, and we're going to play a little bit of it now at the end. And it was lovely to talk to you, Gerry.
Oh, that's very
and
nice.
you, Orla, as well.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
And the best of luck with the choir. And I presume people can find out more online.
Absolutely.
If they want to get in touch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Venetia.
Thank you.
Gazing at the sky, wishing on a star. Know that Santa will come by, no matter where they are. Snowflakes falling through the night, sadness every